you might just have to do like a clap sync, or you can use clap or whatever.
Are you telling me I should get the clap?
Yes, I'm saying you have the clap.
Okay.
I thought you should know. Because I gave it to you.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at namely90s.com/YouTube. And if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with the 90s. Get signed up for one of our support levels.
So I'm upset because you were right. The Mariners lost.
So you're going with that. Oh, darn.
No, well, so for reasons we had to record 2 episodes back to back. And yeah, so we are recording the same recording session from last week. So sorry if the former president showed up to a subpoena or not. We don't know. We don't know if we're in the middle of World War III right now. We don't know if we have Civil War II on our hands. We don't know if those Iranian girls have managed to secure more rights for themselves. All we know is that the Mariners haven't lost yet.
Yeah.
They lost twice. They haven't lost 3 times. And that's what's keeping some of us alive right now.
Yeah, just barely. But
just barely.
And what else might be keeping us alive? I don't know. Maybe the podcast of Horror 3 next week on Halloween Day.
Damn it. That's right. Next week, we will be doing on Monday a podcast of Horror 3, or as Andrew likes to put it, podcast of Horror 3, which we're doing on Gremlins 2, the new batch, which is, I think, we haven't watched it yet. We haven't done the episode yet, but I think from the times that I've seen it, Gremlins 2 is a horrible movie compared to the original Gremlins. But recently, I don't even understand why, but some people that I respect in the TV industry, in the film industry, on their podcast have out of nowhere had major respect for Gremlins 2, and I'm like,
why?
Are you fucking kidding me? Because they appreciate the zaniness of the film.
So zany.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, Andrew, because I'm already going to spoil something major later in the episode. Not on Gremlins 2, just on something that you should have watched up to this point in your life. But there are moments in Gremlins 2 that make it feel like a Tex Avery cartoon, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And you're just like, what the fuck am I watching? And They enjoyed it for its campiness. And, I'm not here to yuck your yums. But Gremlins 1 is a horror thriller. It's a good, it's dark. It is very dark. Phoebe Cates has this whole, we'll talk about it in podcast of Horror 3, but they are 2 drastically different movies, and that's all you're gonna get from us today on it. Even though we still have minutes of chit chat to fill.
Well, as I was looking at the Tom Hanks filmography, just because why not? It was reminding me of a sketch. I always have to pull out at this time of year.
David S. Pumpkins.
Yeah. God, that sketch is funny.
And that was a surprise. I remember watching that. I think I watched that live, and it was like, well, pre-recorded but live for here. And I was on the floor.
Any questions? Yes, several. It's a classic. I'm actually considering going as David S. Pumpkins for the Halloween holiday.
That would be good. I think I'm going to be Captain America. I haven't figured it out yet. You know, I always have like 3 or 4 costumes I'm like putting together throughout the year, and then always forget to have it ready in time for Halloween.
Amazon does have a men's David S. Pumpkins costume,
which is basically just a Beetlejuice costume without the wig.
Yeah,
or mask. Wig. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should ask you. Well, no, because we have Halloween. We have an actual Halloween Day episode. True. So, yeah, there's. I think last year I kept asking you like retro stuff or what do you remember from the 90s, and I forgot to do that this year.
The guy in the David S. Pumpkins costume on Amazon looks like such a douche.
Isn't that the point? Isn't that like is that not the look that Tom Hanks has as David S. Pumpkins? Like, no,
this guy looks totally like
Will Ferrell's Harry Carey.
No, it's better than that.
Okay. Saying it better than that. I just watched, I think it was Good Mythical Morning. Brett and Link over at Mythical did an episode or did a Good Mythical More about stuff from the 90s lunches versus now. Like things they brought back, like how we did the Dunkaroos and reviewed that.
Yeah,
they did like a side-by-side comparison of old Dunkaroos versus the new Dunkaroos, and we were right. The tubs are bigger now.
Well, how'd they get the old ones?
They bought them.
But the quality had to be god awful.
Yes, but it's still, it's it didn't look safe to eat. But that's
turned into something pretty disgusting in just a short time.
That's a good point. But yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the whole episode, so I don't remember how many times they vomited. But they do this all the time. They do actual episodes where they'll buy like discontinued candy from like the 70s or the 60s and eat it to see if it's worth bringing back. And only when it smells of like old shoe or something, they don't try it. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. Like I felt a sense of confirmation. That's not the word. But I felt affirmed in that we said that the new Dunkaroos suck compared to the old Dunkaroos.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't. It was very obvious that they were not as good.
Mm-hmm. And apparently there's a new Lunchables now too. Oh, also speaking of Halloween stuff, Nerds. The big thing this year is candy corn Nerds. Have you tried those yet?
No. Yeah. Why?
Marketing. It made me go into a Rite Aid and I bought those, and I bought the candy corn flavored Red Vines.
But candy corn is disgusting.
Oh yeah. I absolutely agree. I was curious. I didn't buy it for myself. I got it I bought it for care package. But it's I don't like candy corn, but there are people out there that like candy corn.
Ugh, it's disgusting. It's just like wax.
Earwax. Yeah.
It tastes like chew.
It tastes like vanilla flavored earwax. What's your least favorite candy? I think we asked this last year, but
my least favorite candy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can go first.
Keith bar. Ugh.
Ooh, yeah. And they're always like stiff when you try to buy.
Yeah, like I'm all about toffee now. I'm kind of into it.
Yeah,
but not like Heath toffee. No.
I mean, I will buy the Heath branded toffee and put it into a cookie because like the Heath Hershey's has like a whole line of like Hershey's chocolate chips, Reese's peanut butter chips, Heath toffee chips. So if I have like a recipe for my ultimate like peanut butter chocolate chip cookie that I'll throw Heath toffee chips into, but they're like broken up into little pieces. They're not the single solid.
Yeah, and just like it's such a not a kid's candy, you know?
Right? Yeah, it's an old person candy. For me, I would have to say lemon Starburst.
Really?
Yeah, I do not like the lemon. They're giving it literally any other flavor. Yeah.
Well, I deal with people all the time, and many times you're like, I'm diabetic and my blood sugar is dropping. I need to leave so I can get some food.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you're diabetic, isn't your sugar too high? Like, but then they give themselves too much insulin. We had one lady, she was like panicking. She's like, I'm going to have a hypoglycemic crisis. Do you have anything? And we're like, okay. And so we kind of rummaged around and someone found some Jolly Ranchers and she was like, I'm allergic to that. It's like, okay, well, you're going to die of hypoglycemia. And you're like, I don't like that candy. Yeah. You want a Werther's Original?
I'm allergic to that.
Like F you. Here's an idea. Keep a granola bar in your car if you're just like apt to just randomly lower your blood sugar.
True. Yeah. I believe they do that if they're actually thinking ahead. Which if you are diabetic, you generally do. So,
maybe they should have an EpiPen, but instead of Epi, it's sugar.
Just a straight.
Just keep a pixie stick in the bottom of your purse. Just you never know.
It's a wow, words escape me. What are sugar pills when you use them in a trial? They're placebo. Thank you. Yeah, if you just have some placebo pills laying around.
You've been listening to Namely Diabetes. If you need your testing supplies delivered directly to your home, please contact Wilford Brimley wherever he's interred. And he will get you set up with some self-insert catheters. He's dead.
Yeah, I was going to say. But
who the hell did I hit?
But if you're not dead, open up your app and hit the subscribe button to Namely 90s if you want more diabetes jokes like this.
It's secret Patreon content. If you sign up for one of our support levels, you can listen to an entire podcast of us making light of a complicated endocrine disorder known as diabetes.
That has most likely affects 1 in 4 people in our nation. Shall we do it? Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Why don't you
canceled again?
Why don't you tell us what was going on back in October of 1999?
Travel back with me, listeners, if you will, to October of 1999. On the 1st, speaking of 99, Wayne Gretzky, the great one, number 99 is retired by the Edmonton Oilers. Also on the 1st, the infamous, quote-unquote, You Fool episode of Hollywood Squares airs. Are we going to talk about this later?
That Tom Bergeron?
Oh, yeah, I think he hosts it. But for those of you not in the know, Hollywood Squares was a game show on TV where you had 9 celebrities and a tic-tac-toe board, and you had to guess correctly whether a celebrity was answering a question correct or not correct. And you needed to do that to get your mark on the square. And if it's a cat scratch game, whoever gets the final square wins the whole thing. So what happened on this episode is they couldn't get... Gilbert Godfrey was the last square, and they couldn't get the right answer for like seven questions in a row. And you could tell he was getting fed up at one point, so he just starts yelling, "You fool!" like Gilbert Godfrey would after every time they got it wrong.
Also, Rip to the Max.
Rip to the Max, GG. That's not a good game. That's Gilbert Godfrey. On the 9th, the SR-71 Blackbird flies its last flight. Do you remember the SR-71 Blackbird?
Yes, it was a plane that flew very high and very fast.
Yes, spy plane. Kind of. On the 12th, NBA legend Will Chamberlain dies of heart failure at age 63. And the 3 is bolded for some reason. On the 19th, Cher releases the single Believe. Have you heard the song, Andrew?
Do you believe it? It's like Kermit the Frog and...
No matter how hard I tried, you were hard for me.
Do you believe it? Wow, that's us just warbling.
On the 19th, Nintendo of North America releases Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition.
You know what the
Game Boy
strangest
Color.
damn thing is?
What's that?
I was just thinking about it. I had this, and I was just thinking about it today.
Oh. Do you have it? Do you still have it?
No, I had a yellow Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Yellow.
Yep.
And I do not have any of that anymore.
Yeah, you did bring this up when we talked about Red and Blue, I think. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more in the after the break. On the 22nd, speaking of things that you technically had, GTA 2 is released for the PlayStation 1. Or did you have GTA 1?
Maybe on the computer.
Well, on the PlayStation, you had, I think you had 2.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Well, Tony had it. And
yeah.
I
wasn't allowed at that age.
See, I will save my story, but it's the usual story of Andrew invited me over to play this game that was really cool, and then he played it the entire time to show me.
You're damn right. Come over and watch me play games.
Yeah. It was so fun watching him use a tank in a 2D world. On the 27th, the New York Yankees win the World Series against the Atlanta Braves for the second time.
The Atlanta baseball team.
Yeah, right. The Atlanta baseball team. The Yankees, I think that's the second World Series in a row for them.
Jeez.
TV premiering ending in October of 1999. On the 2nd, we have Spider-Man Unlimited premieres on Fox Kids. This took over for the actually good 90s Spider-Man animated cartoon. And this was not good. On the 5th, we have Shasta McNasty premiering on Fox. And also on the 5th, Angel premieres on the WB. On the 6th, we have Roswell also on the WB. And on the 7th, we have House Hunters premiering on HDTV in 1999. On the 16th, we have The Amanda Show, Amanda Show on Nickelodeon. And on the 30th, we have The Avengers United They Stand on Fox Kids, which I don't even remember. Like, I had to use clips from this in one of our Quotely 90s, and I do not remember this at all.
So one of the fun things about House Hunters is some of the memes that have come out. Have you seen these?
I have not.
Well, you know the show House Hunters, right?
I mean, I'm aware of the vague premise of what House Hunters is, and I
they
think
basically go look at
like
3 houses they've already kind of seen, it turns out, and then they just like rank them and then choose one.
Right. And
so it spawned this thing because it was always like these people had outrageous careers and had like huge budgets. So you can go on and there's one that's like,
I think you sent me one recently.
I make sculptures out of wet cereal and I sell ornamental ferret pillows. Our budget is $860,000. It's fun. Yeah. I'm a part-time kindergarten teacher. My wife hangs potatoes in garages. We're looking for a downtown penthouse loft. Budget is $5 million. There's another really good one. I'm a butterfly therapist and I'm a stay-at-home astronaut.
Stay-at-home astronaut.
This one. I'm an artisanal pencil sharpener and I vajazzle labradoodles. Our budget is $1.2 million.
I feel like those are the influencers before influencers existed.
These are so fun. I'm a sandwich artist and I have a blog about meat and beer. And
in the box office, October 1999. On the 1st, we have Drive Me Crazy, which is a teen rom-coms featuring Melissa Joan Hart and Adrian Grenier, the dude from Entourage.
Entourage.
Also on the first, we have Mystery Alaska, which is a hockey movie, but Andrew's never seen it.
Nope.
You haven't seen it? What?
No.
It's Russell Crowe. It's a hockey movie.
I don't watch
movies.
every hockey movie. Are you kidding me?
I mean, aside from the Mighty Ducks, if it's like old,
it's just like I don't like
movies,
vet movies. I don't like hockey movies very much. Except Miracle's pretty good.
and Saving Private Ryan and Russell Crowe. It's starring Russell Crowe, Burt Reynolds, Colm Meaney, and Hank Azaria. Mystery Alaska.
Never heard of it.
Surprised. I haven't seen it either. On the third, Animal Farm airs on TNT. I remember seeing commercials for that and being like, what's Animal Farm? As a 9-year-old, 10-year-old. On the 8th, we have Superstar, based on the SNL character played by Molly Shannon. Also featuring Will Ferrell. On the 15th, we have Fight Club featuring Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, Helena Bonham Carter, and Meatloaf. And also Jared Leto. On the 22nd, Boys Don't Cry featuring Hilary Swank and Peter Sarsgaard. On the 29th, we have Being John Malkovich, starring John Cusack and Cameron Diaz. And on the 29th, we have Princess Mononoke, which is a Miyazaki film, Japanese animation, dubbed. On the Billboard charts, number 1 for October 1999. In September for the first week is Unpretty by TLC. The next 2 weeks is Heartbreaker by Mariah Carey featuring Jay-Z. And for the rest of October, all the way into January of 2000, is Smooth by Santana.
Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas.
Continuing on for the 4th week of October 1999. At number 3, we have Music of My Heart by NSYNC and Gloria Estefan. Number 5, we have Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bega.
Oh, yeah, we referenced that earlier.
How fitting. Number 9, I Need to Know by Mark Antony. Number 10, Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh.
Number 11, Someday by Sugar Ray. Number 12, Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera. Number 16, Steal My Sunshine by Len. Number 17, I Do, parenthesis, Cherish You, close parenthesis, by 98 Degrees. Number 19, All Star by Smash Mouth. Number 20, Black Balloon by Goo Goo Dolls. Number 21, Balamos by Enrique.
Bailamos.
However Andrew said it.
It means we dance, I believe.
Enrique Iglesias, son of Enrique Iglesias. I feel like that's wrong. Number 23, You Drive Me, open parentheses, Crazy, close parentheses, by Britney Spears. And at number 24, we have She's So High by Todd Walker. She's so lovely.
You know, I've never seen anything with Peter Sarsgaard in it. I just looked at his whole filmography.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He's in a lot. I've seen none of it.
Is there a difference between Peter Sarsgaard and Stellan Sarsgaard?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Significant.
Have you seen his movies?
Who's that?
I think he's in Thor.
What's his name?
Stellan Skarsgård.
That's Skarsgård.
Gotcha.
I have seen this guy though.
Yeah, he was in
stuff.
He was in a Mamma Mia.
Yes, he was. And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Halloween coming up, we're looking back at one of my favorite thrillers, Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs is a 1991 psychological horror film starring the girl from Taxi Driver, Thor's dad, and Stick from the Netflix Daredevil series. The story revolves around the lady from Maverick as an FBI trainee assigned to interview the doctor from The Elephant Man, who is a convicted serial killer and cannibal, so she can help build a profile of a current serial killer named Buffalo Bill. They set up a quid pro quo relationship where he helps her on the case in return for things for himself. Meanwhile, while he's running her through mind games, Buffalo Bill abducts a senator's daughter, pushing their case into the national spotlight with the media. We also learn that Buffalo Bill is making a suit of women's skin because they want to be a woman. The senator's daughter is being kept in a pit and told to rub lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. Professor Abraham Van Helsing drops enough clues to get himself a transfer to a location that he's able to escape from by biting guards and wearing their face to leave. The main story comes to a head as Contact is searching the hometown of the first victim, where she comes across Buffalo Bill, which is intercut with the FBI raiding some guy's house in a different state thinking they found him. Unfortunately, the FBI was in the wrong place, and Buffalo Bill traps Anna and the King in his serial killer basement and is about to kill her using his night vision goggles. But she blinds them and shoots Buffalo Bill to death, saving the girl from the pit and without any man's help. At the end of the movie, the dad from Meet Joe Black calls the original Freaky Friday girl to congratulate her on graduating from the FBI Academy and to inform her that he's about to have an old friend for dinner. And that's Silence of the Lambs in a namely 90s minute. More or less.
And now back to the show.
Anywhere you want to go?
Well, it's so funny that we talked about Pokemon Yellow because what's been happening is my kids have been watching Pokemon Master Journey, or what's it called?
Master Journey, yeah. Master Journey, I think.
Yeah, so they've been watching that.
On Netflix.
Yeah, they're quite into it, and it's kind of cute. They're like into Pikachu and all that stuff.
Oh, it's now the Arceus Chronicles.
My son was sick, and he watched it all day.
Nice.
Which is like, that was the best thing to watch Pokemon all day.
Sick. Yeah, that would have been awesome as a kid. It's just like on all day.
But yeah, that, because I used to watch it, obviously, and we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking back to when I had Pokemon Yellow and my yellow Game Boy Color. And sure enough, it's a topic for today's episode.
How crazy is that? It's Pokemon Journeys, Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, and Pokemon The Arceus Chronicles.
Well, they're watching the one on Netflix right now. I don't know what it is.
Those are the three Netflix
Journeys
releases. Journeys is yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I've thrown it on in the background when I edit it. Because it was something to just not pay attention to, but still kind of have background noise. And the episodes that I've paid attention to were pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of new Pokemon I don't recognize, but
they're
I'm old school.
It's over 900 now.
Dang.
And there's a new one coming out in November, which will add more. They might break 1,000.
So where are the Pokemon games now?
It's Generation 9, I think.
Is it still on Game Boy or what console?
It's on the Nintendo Switch. Well, actually, so Pokemon Yellow technically got a reboot in 2016, I want to say, with the first Nintendo Switch Pokemon game titled Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, where your top Pokemon would follow you around, and it's a remake of the original palette or Red and Blue and Yellow games. But it's
Yellow is pretty hard to come by now. Isn't it pretty expensive?
I mean, the cartridge itself is hard to come by, but it was available on the Nintendo eShop for the Nintendo 3DS and DS titles. And but those stores just closed down this year. But yeah, Pokemon Yellow was a special version of the first Pokemon game, which incorporated elements of the animated series. Team Rocket was the two Team Rocket characters from the anime, Jesse and James, and they had a Meowth that followed them around. Pikachu would follow you around. There was also, I remember I got Surfing Pikachu for some reason.
Oh, weird.
I think it was a giveaway. I'm pretty sure it was a giveaway. But you could have Pikachu surf in the game.
I'm pretty surprised, by the way, in this series that they actually got the voice of Ash right based on what we used to watch. Like, it sounds correct. Sounds the same.
I see what you're saying. I
like
think it
from
sounds
when we watched it.
So you think it sounds exactly the same as when we were kids?
Very close.
Yeah, I think it is very close. It's a little more high pitched, but I mean, doing that voice for 20 plus years is impressive. I think it's the same person, is it not?
Do you think?
I think so.
Problem is, I don't know what the series was called when we watched it.
Pokemon Indigo League.
That's what it was called when we watched it?
I mean, that would be the run that you watched, yes.
Was it called that back then, or do they have to call it something?
It was just Pokemon.
Okay.
1998 TV show.
Yeah, it doesn't really list the... Oh, wait.
It looks like there's been
Rika Matsumoto and English. Veronica Taylor. Oh, it's a girl.
Yeah. Not shocking.
A woman. Sorry.
It looks like there's been 2 American Ashes, Sarah Nakchini and Veronica Taylor.
Yeah, that's interesting. Pokemon Chronicles.
Chronicles was black and white. That was Gen 5. That was when we were in high school, maybe college. Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't done it since 2006.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a shift somewhere around. I don't know. That would have been high school, end of high school, college.
I definitely didn't watch it back then.
I stopped watching it at that point as well. But I think I did try to like just throw it on in the background at one point, but then Netflix didn't have the whole series, like all 20 years.
But it's kind of nostalgic to watch it with the kids, you know?
I don't have children to watch it with. Yeah,
and that's just weird if you watch it by yourself.
I think it would be weirder if I watched it with children
that weren't yours. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I threw it on just to see what it was, and it definitely made noise and stopped me from feeling alone for a night.
And that's Pokemon Yellow and a namely... No, just kidding.
What do you remember about Pokemon Yellow?
Essentially nothing. Turn-based combat, walking around different places. I mean, I always liked going around, like you had to talk to different people, and it was kind of frustrating if you didn't know what you were doing, which I didn't know what I was doing.
If you wanted to play the enhanced remakes of Pokemon Yellow with your kids, you could get Let's Go Pikachu and or Let's Go Eevee. And it's simpler than the older versions because it uses like the Pokemon Go mechanics. So they're just tossing the ball at them instead of like battling them for the most part. There are trainer battles. But that's
the battling got exhausting because it was just constant. You'd be walking around in tall grass. And then some shit would want to battle you. And it was like, oh, God, not this again.
Yeah, now you could physically see them on the map and you can avoid them.
Like the game was just like a grinding fest, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like most Japanese RPGs.
You spend the whole game grinding.
Yeah, well, because you had Yellow. So you didn't have the missing no cheat.
But I feel like the thing that was fun about those games is like you were always discovering something and like trying to like advance. You know, they were cool that way.
I mean that was kind of the whole point of the game is exploration and adventure. Excuse me. Speaking of exploration and adventure, did you want to talk about GTA 2? Did I? No.
Fight Club?
I wanted to get in GTA 2. I thought it was weird so originally it was supposed to be a different game. and it's like set in the future. And then they kind of just like, oh, let's make this the second GTA game. So it's
Really?
like, I'm pretty sure that's how the story went. It's like, I think I had it for the Game Boy Color. I think I managed to snag it because they released a Game Boy Color version, which was really terrible. And didn't make any sense compared to the 3D games. But yeah, it was. I remember reading a story about because it's set in like it's set in the future.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I recall reading a story where it was like, it was originally going to be a different game, but Rockstar was just like, oh, the first GTA was so popular, let's just make this one into GTA 2. Yeah, that's all I got for you. It's retro futuristic metropolis.
Yeah, it's so long ago, I don't really remember it.
Anywhere USA. Yeah. And I think it was like a free download on Rockstar's website back in the day. After, long after it was released.
Oh, they made a GTA 2 on the GTA 3 engine. That's cool.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the GTA 3 had a top-down view.
Yeah.
I remember.
Which was crazy.
Yeah. For all those retro heads. All right. So
man,
Fight
that's
Club.
a hot one.
Let's ruin Fight Club for you.
All right, let's do it.
Because Andrew has proclaimed he will never watch this movie.
I mean, I've watched enough of it
to know the twist.
To know that I'm not going to watch it.
So we did a Namely 90s minute on this, and we also did a Quotely 90s on this. And Andrew saw Helena Bonham Carter's outfit. One of my favorite lines that Andrew said on or surrounding the show, and it's not in anything. It's not published. You said, do you remember what you said about her outfit?
So she's wearing a garbage bag?
Yes. You're just like, she looks like she's wearing a garbage bag. I was just like, I died in the editing bay. It was so good. I wish I could have fit that into something. But Fight Club is a 1999 American film directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Helena Bonham Carter, based off a 1996 novel of the same name. Norton plays the unnamed narrator, who is like a white collar guy, but he's kind of just like going through the motions and whatever. And he forms a fight club with a soap salesman named Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt, and they kind of become best friends. And then
besties.
And then Tyler Durden ends up making, just a small group of guys in the fight club that didn't become terrorists and start trying to take down capitalism. So yeah. And then Marla Singer, played by Helena Bonham Carter, is this kind of drug addicted chick that so the narrator was going to like support groups for like ball cancer, and just because it helped him, he didn't have it, but he felt something, like he was able to feel for a little bit, 1 hour a week, and then she would show up and then pretend that, I forget, she kept ruining his support groups, and because she was going for the same reason, and he hated her so much. Anyway, Tyler ends up banging her, and
nice,
yeah, as you
banging.
do. Meatloaf is in the fight club. Meatloaf's character dies during one of their bombing runs, and they bring him back, and Meatloaf was one of the guys originally from the testicular cancer group. So the narrator knew who he was. And in Project Mayhem, which is the terrorist side of Fight Club, you didn't have a name. But the narrator's all like, no, I know this man. His name was Robert Paulson. They're like, sir, you do not have a name in Project Mayhem, sir. And that's where the chant, his name was Robert Paulson, comes from. It's yeah. They're like, in death. What he's saying is, in death, we get a name. His name was Robert Paulson, and they're like, his name was Robert Paulson. I know nothing I'm saying makes you want to watch this movie, but you watched 7.
The different movie. It has Brad Pitt in it. Morgan Freeman.
It's directed by the same guy.
Others.
It's a David Fincher movie, which is weird and exactly like, yeah.
And the guy's named after birds.
Was that a Finch reference?
Yes.
Gotcha. Anyway, Tyler disappears one night, and I'm sorry, everyone. So I'm going to blow Andrew's mind because he's never going to watch it. I'm going to spoil it for him. I would have preferred him watching it. This is one of those. This is. Tyler disappears. Edward Norton's character tries to follow him around, but he keeps missing him by a day. A new Fight Club set up. He's losing time and whatever. And it turns out Tyler Durden was the narrator the whole time. He has disassociated personalities. See, Andrew's not amused. He's given a blank face. It's more. It's more interesting when you've actually seen the film, but yeah. So and then Tyler's planning on blowing up a bunch of buildings, and the narrator tries to stop him. So he ends up just fighting himself, and then in the end shoots himself. Puts his gun.
Trigger warning, so to speak.
I don't know if you're supposed to use trigger warnings as a pun.
Well, I mean, I didn't know you were going to say he shot himself. I mean, it's also a okay.
It is an actual trigger warning at this point. But yeah, so
God, why do people love this movie so much?
It's so good. And then he doesn't actually like shoot himself in the brain. He just blows out his cheek, but he still kills Tyler somehow. Which, you know, that's a long way to get your second personality out of your head, I gotta say. And then Marlo shows up, and they do the "you met me at a very strange time in my life" thing, and the buildings blow up, and the Pixie song plays, the Pixie song which Andrew hates because I played so much in high school.
The whale song?
The whale song. It's a good song. Pixies are really good, man. Yeah, this is. Oh, also there was Jared Leto has a part in this movie where he plays Angel Face, one of the Fight Club kids, and there's a scene where Edward Norton just beats the living hell out of him. It's so nice because it's Jared Leto. You know who Jared Leto is?
Yeah, he played the Joker, my favorite character, among other things,
but not the good Joker.
No,
he's the living vampire Morbius. Okay, so Andrew's unimpressed for the bit, but it's a goal. It's a good psychological film, and it's good cinematography. There's more running jokes in it, like Brad Pitt tells you about the switch over in the film reels, and he like the Tyler Durden character like inserts like random single frames of porn throughout the movie. It's an interesting movie, man. It's perceived as a forerunner of a new mood in American political life.
What, blowing shit up? Yes, by blowing shit up. Oh God. 2 years early. Man, it's a hot one. Like 7 inches from the midday sun. Well, I hear you whisper and the words melt everyone, but you stay so cool. My Moniaquita, my Spanish Harlem, Mona Lisa, you're my reason for reason, the step in my groove. And if you said this life ain't good enough, I would give my world to lift you up. I could change my life to better suit your mood because you're so smooth. And it's just like the ocean under the moon. Oh, it's the same as the emotion I get from you. You got the kind of loving that can be so smooth, yeah. Give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about it. It goes on forever, by the way.
Isn't that the bit? Are you not supposed to do the whole?
It actually doesn't, okay, but I'll tell you one thing.
Without breaking.
If you would leave, it'd be a crying shame, and every breath and every word. I hear your name calling me out from the barrio. You hear my rhythm on your radio. You feel the turning of the world so soft and slow. It's turning you round and round. And if you said this life ain't good enough, is it not good enough? I would give my world to lift you up. I could change my life to better suit your mood because you're so smooth. Well, and it's just like the ocean under the moon. Well, it's the same as the emotion that I get from you. You got the kind of loving that can be so smooth, yeah. Give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about it.
Does he mean smooth like down there or just like smooth?
Like a Greg Louganis joke. Well, and it's just like the ocean under the moon. Oh, it's the same as the emotion that I get from you. You got the kind of loving that can be so smooth, yeah. Give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about it. Or else forget about it. Or else forget about it.
I was going to suggest at the end of last episode
forget about it.
That we just scrap this whole the lyric reading bit, but it definitely works.
Give me your heart, make it real. Let's don't forget about it. Hey, let's don't forget about it. Now, oh. Let's don't forget about it. Now, oh.
Now, oh.
Let's don't forget about it. Hey, now, oh. Let's don't forget about it. Hey.
Hey. Wow. Was that the whole thing?
That's
it. Did you make it through?
It's a long one. That's what she said. It's a great song, though. I mean, really, it's actually a really listenable song.
I think I said this to you over text. I would like a cover of this with Mariners player Carlos Santana. And the writer-director Rob Thomas, known for the series Veronica Mars.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Carlos Santana, you mean like the guy?
Well, and the funny thing is Rob Thomas, the writer-director of series is like Veronica Mars and iZombie. In the series iZombie had in the season 3 or 4 finale, I think it was season 3 finale, Rob Thomas playing
oh, that's funny.
Playing music. And what did Rob Thomas just a solo act or was he in a band?
He was in Matchbox 20.
He didn't have all of Matchbox 20, but he had Rob Thomas playing.
Rob Thomas had a solo career after.
But he had Rob Thomas playing Matchbox 20 songs at some like discotheque when the zombie army came in, and I think he gets killed and turned into a zombie. But yes,
I do enjoy this song. Actually,
it's a good song.
It brings back the memories.
I guess that's why, you know, One Week and Smooth are both songs that we like, so it doesn't make sense for us to do the lyric thing.
Oh, but we did it.
We did it. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks.
And never again.
And that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Check the episode description for this week's supplemental Spotify playlist curated by yours truly. Find us on that's not the word Discord. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal Twitter accounts at bschwitty and at NamelyAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. And finally, you can find us through our website, Namely90s.com. Big breath here. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Smooth featuring Rob Thomas, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we'll catch you. I'm so tired. Have you seen Fight Club? I need to know before I spoil it for you.